Revenge is a dish best served cold, and in order to serve up Grom the Paunch his just desserts, I've got Kislev today facing off against HTS. Let's get to the builds here, as there's some skirmishing already underway. We've got 3 horse archers out on the low ground. This is the classic Doc Karaz land battle map from Warhammer 1, in fact. Got a couple Streltsy here, some armored Kossars up front, an Ice Witch leading the way with Lore of Tempest. We've got a Patriarch as well, and a big Elemental Bear for a nice Terror centerpiece. Ossified Dervishes and Wing Lancers for a bit of Shock Cavalry. Now, for the Greenskins, of course, GROM the Paunch, the terror of Warhammer 2's late game, here to terrorize Kislev. Also got a couple of Stone Trolls, Gobos up front, plenty of Skirmish Cav as well, including the Mangy Marauders, more Stone Trolls, Black Orcs, Boar Boy Biggins, and the Broken Tusk Mob, as well as a couple of Boar Chariots and an Orc Shaman. So, without further ado, let's get things underway. Of course, Kislev's hybrid missile melee sort of dichotomy of units, well, not dichotomy, but rather combination, right? A lot of their units can both fight in melee and shoot effectively. So what that means is that the Greenskins sort of mass skirmish kind of swarm attack with a lot of light cavalry isn't going to be as effective, because even if you do manage to engage like Kossars, Streltsy, and melee with something like Wolf Riders, Wolf Riders are really not going to do that much at the end of the day. You try and sit back and skirmish with your own skirmish cavalry and such, they'll likely just get shot to pieces. The Ice Bear going to unleash a breath attack and then charge here in the center. Just do some very brutal damage to these ice trolls, or not ice trolls, stone trolls rather. They don't have magic resistance anymore. Of course, now they have spell resistance, so the magic damage of the elemental bear will be quite good. Streltsy also opening fire, focusing on whatever they can. The Kossars, of course, just shooting at whatever comes into range. But the Streltsy, I'm going to try and focus high-value targets as much as possible. Orc Boar Boy Biggins coming up and through. You can see GROM now marauding his way through my infantry line. Gets a nice charge into the Streltsy there. I'm going to throw a Blizzard into this big blob here by the bear. Ice Witch unleashing a nasty spell. Going to do a ton of damage. You also see plenty of explosion spells from the Greenskins. That Orc Shaman going to be tossing out some Brain Bursts and such. Maybe even a Wild Foot of Gork, we'll see, but for the time being, having to throw my cavalry here just to hold back this contingent of Black Orcs and Gobos. The Gobos definitely took enough damage that we should be able to rout them. Black Orcs are quite a bit tougher. Terror does kick in for the Stone Trolls, the Boar Boy Biggins as well. We've got the Snow Leopard Summon from the Ice Witch, able to provide a little bit of extra anti-large AP damage against the Stone Trolls. And now just keeping the chariots bogged up with my light cavalry and then moving in with the AP bears is going to be the way to finish them off and prevent them from just running roughshod all over my infantry line. Right now, things are looking promising, but the Orcs' assault is relentless. Broken Tusk Mob now getting a nice countercharge back in here. Another Boar Chariot fully operational. The nice side-shotting breath, though, you might have seen there in the background through that Black Orc, just did a ton of damage to them. Now the Streltsy and stand firm and fight. Streltsy, even though they don't have the best melee stats, 29 melee attack is enough that the 31 defense of the Black Orcs, they'll actually be able to make some contact, and with a couple of supporting monstrous units now collapsing, the bears come to just maul the Black Orcs. Streltsy will easily be able to prevail and should be able to pull back, or at least, re-engage in another way. This other unit of Streltsy now pulling back. Stone Trolls also re-engaging here. The Broken Tusk Mob, Boar Boys coming out, trying to look for another position to cycle charge back in, perhaps. But I've also got some more units coming back from routes. Armored Kossars can throw some pistol shots this way, get a little bit of leadership damage by firing into the flank. GROM is also now caught up in the blob of cavalry, and we're going to get the 2 bear characters into melee against him. 2v1, a bad day for GROM. Even though, just a caster character, still the Ice Witch is really, really good in terms of having good AP damage, just overall solid combat stats for his caster character. The Ice Bear, of course, Frostbite, also got the Chilling Aura in a recent patch, so just has an incredible amount of speed debuff control. So even if GROM the Paunch had an avenue to escape, the speed debuffs are such that he's going to have a hard time getting away. And, the further speed debuffing from casting spells from Lore of Tempest also will layer on top of that. But Boar Boys are the hope for the Greenskins at this point. Them and the Stone Trolls coming in for another charge on the Kossars. Nice green uniform of this particular Kislev color scheme. Looking very nice. I love that kind of green and sea blue almost. But here comes another brain burst. A nice side-shotting breath. Just tanks my frame rates and also takes out what remains of the broken Tusk Mob pretty decisively. Does some friendly damage to the Streltsy, but hey, the sacrifice is to be made for the motherland, right? Bear also comes in to just maul the last of the Black Orcs. You can see GROM fighting in the background there with the bears taking swings at him. Ooh, nice kill animation. Wow, just playing with his food there a little bit as that Black Orc suffers a terrible fate. And as does GROM. Of course, the Patriarch, having just an insanely powerful item in the Brazier, Daw's Brazier here, can provide a nice AoE heal. He also has the activatable heal as well, so I'm really not worried at all about my single entities taking too much damage. And yeah, I mean, my army took a severe beating at pretty much everything except the single entities, and just goes to show the power the Elemental Bear is going to have in this matchup when supported well. Greenskins hit army losses there, and it's going to be a relatively quick victory, but I know a lot of you would be interested in watching GROM get his face smashed in any way possible. And yeah, by a giant ice bear and a couple of other very angry bears seems to be appropriate. Taking a look at the damage values here, Ice Switch was able to get some pretty good damage done, quite a bit of damage from the Tempest, and also just fighting in melee. Generally a very, very good character with the summon. She's also got that little AoE explosion that didn't highlight, just, you know, hits around her in the vicinity if she finds herself in a big nasty blob. Also, the Ice Bear, Elemental Bear rather, didn't quite pay for itself, but quite a bit of kills and good damage value as well. Streltsy pulling their weight pretty heavily. The Kossars definitely get beat down pretty hard, as do quite a bit of the Horse Archers and Light Cavalry, but it's to be expected. They sacrifice themselves so that the rest of the army could get the work done. GROM the Paunch limited to 1628 damage value, still 12,000 damage dealt overall, but you know, two relatively low tier units. Likewise, the Black Orcs and the Stone Trolls we were all able to limit pretty heavily. The Boar Boys I was also a little bit worried about, but we did manage to kind of gun them down mostly pretty well. Goblins do trade fairly cost effectively, all things considered, and I would kind of need to sit down and workshop this matchup myself a little bit and see. A few good elements here, but I think definitely the threat of the Elemental Bear means that you probably want to take some Air Boys in this matchup to give you some kind of pseudo armor-piercing missiles. Then you have to potentially protect them against Kislev Cavalry and Chariots, so maybe something like Air Boys and Boar Boy Biggins in combination, like 5 Air Boys, 4 Boar Boy Biggins, and then you just take units to support basically that core, more or less. I don't know how well that would actually work, but we'll find out in future battles, no doubt. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.